Last month, I played cards with a stranger in my home. I still don't know what happened. It was a rainy evening. I was 32 and just wanted peace. I had moved to a charming, old house filled with my artwork. I thought this would be my sanctuary. The rain drummed on the roof, and I enjoyed the quiet. Then there was a knock at the door. It broke the silence. I opened the door to find a drenched stranger. He introduced himself as Mark. He asked if he could use my phone, and I hesitated but eventually nodded. After he finished, he lingered. "Want to play cards?" he asked. I thought it might be fun, a distraction from my isolation. I agreed. We sat at my kitchen table, holding the cards. My heart raced from the unexpected visitor. As we played, I noticed strange symbols on the cards. I laughed, trying to brush it off. "What an odd design," I said, but I felt unsettled. When Mark left, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. I wanted to forget the encounter. The next day, I found one card under my couch. It had even more strange symbols. I hadn't remembered it from the game. A chill crept down my spine. That evening, the lights began flickering. The air felt heavy, and I could hear soft chanting drifting through the trees. I tried to convince myself it was just the weather messing with the electricity. Maybe it was a gathering nearby. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Days passed, and I grew paranoid. I wondered if I'd let something evil into my life. I kept thinking about that card. Mark seemed friendly. At least, I thought he did. But now I was unsure. One night, while I tried to sleep, I heard knocking again. It echoed through my house like it was coming from all sides. I gripped my table, my hands shaking. Should I open the door? Walking toward it felt like stepping into a trap. I opened it, holding my breath, but nobody was there. The chill behind me sent ice through my veins. I turned around, sensing someone. Then I heard whispers. "Let us in. We're waiting." My heart pounded. I felt the air grow cold as the whispers swirled around me. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. It was just me and the shadows now. Everyone said I had made a mistake inviting Mark in, but how could I have known? I stood frozen, the whispers wrapping around me like a dark cloak. "Let us in," they repeated. And in that moment, everything felt wrong. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. The knock came again, louder this time. I braced myself, knowing whatever waited outside might not be what I expected. I stood there, trembling, uncertainty coursing through me. The knocking echoed like a warning. I forced myself to move, trying to regain a sense of control. I backed away from the door and fumbled for my phone, deciding to call someone, anyone who could help. As I reached for it, the lights flickered again, then went out entirely. I was plunged into darkness, my breath quickening. The only sounds were the steady rhythm of the rain and the faint whispers still swirling around my head. I fumbled in the dark for my flashlight. The beam cut through the gloom, revealing the outlines of my familiar room, now shadowy and menacing. Then I heard it, a soft, dragging sound coming from the other side of the door. My heart raced as I pointed the flashlight at the door, convinced I'd see something horrific on the other side. My finger hovered over the light switch, but the darkness felt thicker as I stood still, frozen in fear. Gathering my courage, I crept towards the door, determined to confront whatever was lurking on the other side. I reached for the handle. The air grew colder as I opened it slightly. The hallway stretched before me, empty and silent. Suddenly, something caught my eye, a flicker of movement at the end of the hallway. I stepped outside, the chill biting into my skin. The whispers intensified, wrapping me tighter in their grip. "Let us in. We're waiting," they hissed, now clearer. My pulse quickened, and I felt an overwhelming urge to turn back, but I had to know what was going on. That's when I saw it, an unsettling silhouette at the end of the hall, just in the doorway of my art studio. The shadows danced around it, and I couldn't make out any details. It stood completely still, watching me. Panic surged in my chest. I took a step back, my instincts screaming at me to run. I turned, racing to the living room, but the whispers followed me, relentless and growing louder. I spotted the strange card from the game on the coffee table, glowing faintly under the flickering light of my lantern. I snatched it up, examining its symbols, desperate for answers. As I flipped it over, a sharp pain shot through my hand. I jerked back, seeing blood trickling from my palm where the card had cut me. I realized the symbols weren't just strange, they were alive, swirling and pulsing, almost hypnotic. The whispers grew more chaotic, forming a chorus that rattled my mind. Then came the sound of footsteps behind me. I whipped around, my heart in my throat, finding myself face to face with Mark. Or, at least, the figure that resembled him. His eyes were hollow, almost black, and a chilling smile spread across his face. "You should have kept the card," he said, his voice low and echoing. "They are hungry." I wanted to scream, but no sound emerged. I stood frozen again as he took a step forward, the shadows crawling closer around him. I had to escape. The exit was behind me, but it felt impossibly far. Before I could act, he pointed towards my studio, and I turned in horror as the dark silhouette seemed to grow, materializing into something more significant, something living, something that wanted in. My breath hitched as a realization dawned. I was not alone in my home anymore. I couldn't breathe. Mark's dark form loomed, and behind him, the shadow from the studio seemed to pulse like it was alive. An overwhelming sense of dread washed over me, and every instinct screamed for me to flee. I turned, but the whispers grew louder, echoing in my ears. "Let us in. Let us in." The fear made me think of nothing but escape. With every ounce of willpower, I bolted towards the back door, desperate to escape the numbness wrapping around my legs. I rushed through the living room, the shadows chasing me. The card slipped from my fingers, dropping to the floor with a soft thud. I wanted to grab it, knowing it might hold the key to what was happening, but I couldn't stop. I flung open the back door and stepped into the drizzle, cold rain washing over me. The night felt alive, and with every drop hitting my skin, I felt weightless yet trapped. I turned to look inside my home, expecting to see Mark, but the doorway was engulfed in shadows, and the whispers were a cacophony now, drowning out all other sound. "Get away!" I shouted into the night, my breath heavy with panic. I stumbled backward, seeking refuge among the trees that lined my yard. I needed to think, to figure out how to fight back. My heart raced as I caught a glimpse of movement behind me. The silhouette that had stood at the end of the hallway was now outside, shifting closer, following me. In the dim glow from the house, I saw a reflection, something metallic in the mud by the trees. I pushed through the underbrush, and there it was, a small dagger, the blade glistening even in the rain. Its handle was engraved with similar symbols from the card, but the metal seemed unmarked by time. I picked it up, feeling a swell of defiance. Maybe this could help me fight back. As I gripped the hilt tightly, I turned to face my pursuer. Mark stood at the edge of the doorway, the shadows swirling behind him. His eyes were locked onto mine, a knowing, predatory gaze. "You can't escape, you know. They want you," he sang, his voice rising above the storm. "I won't let them take me," I yelled, adrenaline surging through me. I stepped forward, the dagger raised, feeling its cold steel pulse at my command.
I was aiming for him, for whatever dark force had infiltrated my life. In that moment, I didn't feel scared. I felt empowered. But then, a piercing shriek echoed from the studio, a sound so wretched and inhuman that I felt the blood drain from my face. It sent a jolt through me. Every instinct urged me to run, but I stood my ground. Whatever was in...
They couldn't be allowed to come outside. Then everything shifted. A shadow surged forward, darting with unnatural speed, and in the blink of an eye, it was past Mark, heading straight for me. I raised the dagger as I readied myself for the confrontation, but as it neared, I felt a chilling surge of foreboding. What would I find if I faced it? The air thickened, heavy with expectation and dread. That's when I saw it. Through the veil of darkness, the creature took form, morphing into something that looked eerily familiar, something I couldn't quite place but knew instinctively. I had played cards with a stranger, and now I was about to learn just what that meant. The creature emerged fully, and I squinted through the rain to see its shape more clearly. It was human, almost. The face twisted with layers of shadows, yet I swore I could see features I recognized. A labored breath escaped me as I processed what it might be. "Stop!" I yelled, my heart pounding, battling the urge to run. I took a cautious step forward, the dagger trembling in my grip. "What do you want?" My voice came out stronger than I felt, but the figure just stood there, flickering like a flame caught in the wind. Mark took a step closer too, a smirk creeping across his lips. "You see, they've been waiting for you. All signs lead here," he taunted, his confidence growing as the shadows around him seemed to thicken. The creature lunged, and I barely had time to react. I raised the dagger, ready to defend myself. But as it reached me, something strange happened. I felt a rush, not of fear, but of immense sadness. An overwhelming yearning radiated from that shadow. I hesitated, struggling to reconcile that strange feeling. "Look closer," Mark urged, his voice laced with anticipation. "Do you remember?" My breath hitched as the shape pulsed again, shifting slightly. And then it hit me. This wasn't just a menace, it was a distorted version of someone I had known. My mind raced to recall the faces of my past, people I hadn't thought about in years. Friends lost in the shuffle of life, faces that once brought joy, now twisted into despair. It was as if their unresolved pain clung to me, begging for release. "No, it can't be," I whispered, the dagger lowering instinctively, despite all the fear clawing at me. Could this be a manifestation of all the things I had ignored? The friends I hadn't reached out to? The trying relationships I'd left behind? The figure halted, and there was a flicker of recognition, something sympathetic. I could hear faint echoes of laughter in the background, engulfed by the darkness surrounding us. It was almost comforting, but then that piercing shriek rang out again, drawing me back to the present. "Don't listen to it," Mark shouted, pulling me back into the chaos. "You can't save them. They're trying to take you with them." The shadows surged forward with newfound aggression, and I felt the grip of despair tighten around me. They flared up like smoke, threatening to engulf me entirely. I shook my head, realizing I needed to take control. This wasn't just about my fear. It was about confronting the things I had silenced for too long. I took a deep breath, resisting the urge to flee. "I won't let you take me," I declared, my voice steadier this time. "You might be my past, but I choose to fight." As the shadows pressed closer, I raised the dagger high, prepared to strike at whatever came next. But among the chaos, I glanced back at the creature, now an indistinct silhouette against the storm. "I remember you," I whispered,
hoping to connect with whatever was left of this familiar form. Suddenly, the air shifted again, and I felt an electric buzz. The ground beneath me trembled, and I realized this was bigger than me. Something was waiting to break through, and this was only the beginning. As the shadows closed in, I positioned myself, dagger poised. It was time to unveil the truth, even if it meant facing the darkest parts of myself. I plunged the dagger into the darkness, but it met only the cool, damp air. For a second, I felt foolish, lost amid swirling shadows and echoes of laughter. My heart raced, and I wondered if my resolve was enough to pierce the gloom. As the shadows writhed around me, the creature stepped forward, more defined now. I could see eyes, two dark pools reflecting my fear. They sparkled with memories that twisted through my mind like smoke. The faces of friends I had abandoned. Each one screamed to be remembered, each one a reminder of moments I'd let slip away. Mark moved beside me, his smirk faltering as the shadows grew restless. "You don't understand," he shouted over the cacophony. "They're not here to help. They want to drag you down." His eyes darted to the creature, and I could sense the fear creeping in, tarnishing the bravado he had worn so confidently moments before. "Maybe they are here to show me," I replied, more to myself than to him. The weight of my past felt like chains around my ankles, anchoring me in place. "Or maybe you just don't want me to find out." A howl erupted from the shadows, drowning my words. I felt the force of it slice through my skin, and I nearly stumbled. The creature's face wavered, and in that moment I could almost see who it used to be. I recognized the warmth behind the torment, the pain of a friendship once cherished. "Help me!" I shouted at the shadow, my voice breaking. I wanted to reach out, to grasp whatever could still be salvaged from the guilt and hurt. The creature surged closer, and fear bubbled up again. Without thinking, I lunged forward, gripping the dagger with both hands. I aimed for the heart of the shadow.
The part that might hold the memory of laughter instead of despair. "Don't hold back," I urged myself. "It's time to face this."